Okay, ma. Start, ma. Start.
To acquire knowledge, one must study, but to acquire wisdom, one must observe. A very good evening to the esteemed guests and faculties present here. The Department of Accounting and Finance at SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram, is pleased to present a comprehensive national level 3-week research methodology course. This course is meticulously designed to provide participants with essential knowledge and skills in research techniques, empower them to conduct high quality academic and industrial oriented research. The program targets academicians, research scholars, professionals, and other students who aspire to enhance their research capabilities in the fields of finance, accounting, and allied disciplines. Let's commence the session with Tamil Thai. I request everyone present here to switch off their cameras and microphones. Thank you. I now request Dr. V. Deepa Ma'am, Program Coordinator at Department of Accounting and Finance, to present the welcome address.
Okay. I think there is some network issue. It seems okay. I welcome Dr. Andal ma'am from Wales Institute of Science and Technology and Advanced Studies for this 3 weeks research methodology course. And I also welcome in absentia our head of the department, Dr. Chitra Srinivasan, madam, and C. Sundar sir, Dean of Faculty of Humanities and Science, Vice Principal Admin, and Vice Principal Research. Thank you, and I welcome you all for this 3 weeks research methodology course. Thank you. Yes, Lekha Shri.
I request Dr. Alamela Ma'am to introduce the guest for the session.
Yes, okay. It's my privilege and an honor to read the today's resource person profile, Dr. V. Andal ma'am. She is currently working as an assistant professor and associate professor of commerce in Wales Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies, Pallavaram, Chennai. She has 16 years of experience in collegiate teaching. She has produced 4 doctorates and is guiding 6 PhD scholars at present. She has published more than 35 research articles in Scopus and UGC journals. She has recognized as a judge for intercollegiate competitions and a panel member for interviews. She has as many as 18 FDPs and 10 workshops and more than 100 webinars and 2 books publications to her credit. She is a member of the editorial board of the Lattice Science publication and Blue Eyes Intelligence Engineering and Science publication. She is a life member of many professional bodies. She has received 10 awards for her contributions to the teaching and research. Thank you so much, ma'am, Andal ma'am, for accepting our invite. Now the stage is yours, ma'am. Yeah, the PPT is visible, ma'am. Ma'am, unmute. Ma'am, unmute your mic,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I tried to show it as a slideshow.
Okay.
Slideshow is not coming, right?
It's viewable, ma'am. It is visible only.
Okay,
Hmm.
but not in a presentation form, I think. Okay, ma'am. I'll start. Thank you.
Ah, okay.
Warm greetings and good evening to everyone present here. And I thank the SRM University for giving me this opportunity. Now, I am going to present before you the importance of review of literature in research and sources of literature. Just a minute, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Uh,
okay, okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
I could not move the slides, that's why. It is processing actually. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's coming, ma'am, right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we will see my topic is literature review. My topic is importance of review of literature in research and sources of literature. Actually speaking, literature review is a type of academic writing that summarizes, analyzes, and evaluates existing knowledge on a specific topic. Which means whenever we come to any kind of research, whether it may be a PG research or UG, PG or MPhil or PhD research, whatever be the research, there is literature review plays a vital role. So, what is literature review? It is a type of academic writing because literature review comes place in the academic writing. What it does, it is a type of academic writing that summarizes, analyzes, and evaluates existing knowledge on a specific topic. So why are we collecting review of literature? Because we have to do a research. For that research, we need some background information. Just like that, we cannot do any type of research. First, what we have to do is we have to collect the literature already existing in the topic. So, it evaluates, analyzes, and existing knowledge on a specific topic. It helps to discover what is already known about the research problem and what more can be done on a so it helps to discover already lots and lots of research reviews are available to us. So we have to discover when we are going to proceed a research and we are going to approach a research problem. The first thing we have to do is, before doing anything else, first thing we have to do is we have to find out the research problem and what we can do about it. So now, before proceeding, we have to know what is a literature review. A literature review is an assessment of body of research that addresses a research question. So what is a body of research? So, a literature review is an assessment of body of research that addresses a research question. Why are we going for literature review? Because we are going to do a research. We have some research question in our mind, and we have to assess the body of research already existing in the particular topic or related to the topic. An organized written presentation of what has been published. So, what is review of literature? It is an organized written presentation of what has been published on a topic by the scholars. Many scholars and many researchers have already done research on so many topics, and they have already put everything. So now what we have to do is we have to present it. Already many scholars have presented so many things. Now we have to present it. Now, what are the key features of a good quality review of literature? So anyway, whatever be our kind of research, we have to collect the review of literature. So simply, we cannot collect any type of literature. So how we should collect a literature review? What are the features that should exist in a review of literature? Or what are the key features of a good quality review of literature? So, how it should be? First one is synthesis. A literature review synthesizes sources into a summary with a thesis or statement of purpose. So, by synthesis, what we mean is we are collecting from so many sources and we put it in a place. That's why it is called as a synthesis. So, it is not that simply we have to collect the reviews from a single website or single source. We have to collect from so many sources and we have to synthesize or collect it and put it in a form of a thesis or which supports our statement of purpose. So, synthesis is the first key feature for a good quality review of literature. Then, next one is evaluation. So, a literature review includes a critical evaluation of the material. It is not that we collect any material and put it, we rewrite it in a form of review of literature and keep it in our research. So, we have to evaluate it. In what way? We have to evaluate it in such a way that whether it actually supports our research question which is in our mind. Something irrelevant cannot be become a good review of literature. So whenever we take any material, whether it be primary or secondary material, review of literature we collect for our study. First thing what we have to do is, whenever we get any material, it is to be evaluated. So the evaluation is very very important. We have to evaluate, and we have to take only a good quality material. Next key feature is gaps. So this is the main thing. So because a literature review identifies gaps in the current knowledge or areas that are under researched or uninvestigated. Because by research we mean that we are going to investigate something. Many researchers and many publishers are already done so many research, and they have already collected so many reviews, so many topics, and they have found out something, and they have all given some sort of knowledge to us. So we have to identify. So already there are lots of, even whatever be our research question, many people have done research on that topic also. So what is the use of doing a research which is already available? So first what we have to do is, we have to identify the gap. So already there is a pool of knowledge available related to our research question. We have to identify the gap, and based on that, we have to find out which is under research or uninvestigated, and we have to present it, or we have to take it for our study. Then, what are the sources? A literature review can include scholarly journal articles, books, government reports, and websites. So we can choose any type of source like this. It is not that we have to stick on only to the government report, or it is not that we have to stick on only to the websites or to a single thing. So we can collect our review of literature which is needed for our study to solve our research question from any type of sources which are open to us in the current techno world. Next feature is organization. A literature review can be organized thematically or methodologically, because we have collected some review of literature which is going to support our research question. So it is not that simply we have to put it in some order and we present in our research thesis or research book. What we have to do is, we have to organize it thematically or methodologically. So because yeah, whatever be our research question, it can be analyzed from various points of view or from various factors. Various factors will support our research question. So our research review of literature has to be organized and presented in some, using some theme or based on some time, or based on some factors which will support our research question. Next, purpose. So, what is the purpose? A literature review helps to justify a thesis or research question, and it can be a valuable tool for other researchers. So, what is the purpose? Actually, whenever any person researches, there should be some purpose in it. So, a literature review helps to justify a thesis, because whatever be material we collect from our primary source, only that review of literature will justify our research question or thesis, and it is a valuable tool. Definitely, it will be a valuable tool for other researchers. Next, so we have seen what are the good qualities of a review of literature. Now we will see factors affecting review of literature. So, what are the factors that will affect the review of literature? First thing is researcher's background. An experienced researcher finds it easy to prepare a review of literature than a beginner, because already he has a pool of knowledge. He has he has a vast experience in the literature, and he knows what data or what review to collect from which source. So he is already experienced. So always researcher's background plays a vital role in collecting a good review of literature. Then next one is complexity of the research project. So how complex our research project is? Because if our research project is a very common one or a easier one, the availability of review of literature is very easy. We can get it from any source. But if our research project is a complex one, it is not that easy to collect reviews. And so it is easy to collect review of literature for a simple and easy research projects than complex ones. So for the complex ones, the researcher has to do a lot of research even for finding out the reviews where it will be available. So depending on the complexity is also one of the factors. Then third one is availability of resources. What resource we have? Nowadays we all have so many resources in our hands. We are in the techno world, and AI plays a vital role in our life in the current scenario, which was not available in the earlier years. Some 10, 20 years back, this kind of AI or this kind of uh, technical knowledge was not available with the researchers, in which case it was very tough to collect reviews offline. They will go to, in those days, what the researchers will do is they will go to so many cities and they will visit so many libraries, and they will collect data using those sources, and also they will subscribe to a lot of journals, and from the journals they used to collect. But nowadays, we are in the techno world and we are in the artificial intelligence world. Now, the availability of resources very easy for us. Availability of resources like computer, internet facility, online and offline journal subscriptions makes it easy to prepare a good review of literature. So we are all blessed one to live in the AI generated world, and whatever be our research question to collect review of literature, everything is very easy and comes handy to us. Then, next factor is study time frame. To conduct a relevant review of literature, sufficient time is needed. Just like that, because all of a sudden we cannot do a literature review in a single day or a single week, and depending on our research question and depending on the complexity of a research question, it may take even months together or years together to collect a review of literature, because that's right, the study time frame deviates or variates from simple to complexity. To conduct a relevant review of literature, sufficient time is always needed. Next one is, what are the importance of review of literature? That is the main topic of this evening also. So what is the importance of review of literature? It helps to identify what is already known about a research problem. So the main thing is we have to identify a research problem. Whenever we want to do a research, whether it be a PG research or UG research or MPhil research or PhD research, or it may be for a funded research project, first we have to identify a research problem. So that is the main thing. So first importance of review of literature is to identify the research problem itself. This review of literature plays a vital role. Then next one is it helps to build on previous knowledge, because while collecting review, some sort of knowledge is already available, some material is available, and what we have to do is we have to build on the previous knowledge. We have to add on to the existing knowledge. Then next point is many published research studies contain recommended recommendation for future research from which we can get idea for a new research study. Many research studies are already available. If we keep on browsing all those research studies, at the end of the research study, always in most of the studies are already existing studies. In the last part, there will always be a recommendation for future research. So, if that recommendation is our area of interest, we can take that recommendation and we can go for our new research study based on these already available published research studies. Then, next one is to identify questions a body of research does not answer. So, just a body of knowledge alone will not answer our question. So, we have to collect from so many sources. A single source will not help us. So, we have to collect the answer to our question from various sources. The next point is it makes researcher know what research has already been done in a particular area so as to avoid duplication. Because whenever we are going to do a research, lot of knowledge is already existing. Simply doing the same thing again will not contribute to any research. So, whenever we want to do some research on a particular topic, we have to collect the existing literature review available on the topic, and we have to find out the gap, and from the gap we have to develop our research question and we have to proceed. Simply doing the same will not help to the academic community. Next point is it is necessary to narrow down the problem to be studied. If it is a if we have not narrowed down, it will be difficult for us to come to a conclusion for our study. It should not be a broad one. If it is a broad one, it will take years together, or we have to travel wide. So, if we have to finish it within a time frame mentioned or within the available time frame, we have to narrow down our question because already we have identified the research gap and we have selected a research question. So the research question should not be an elaborate one, it should be a narrowed down one. So if we have to study the problem which has come, then it helps a researcher to get acquainted with the relevant theory, strategies, tools, and instruments for conducting the research. So, already so much of existing reviews are available. If the researcher starts to collect those reviews, he will be facing or he will come across many new terms, new strategies, many tools and instruments, and the researcher has to have an awareness over it. So he has to be acquainted with all the relevant theory. So whenever we frame any question, we have to study the relevant theories about it, whether it be art, science, or engineering, or medical, whatever be the kind of research we are going to do. We have to be acquainted with the relevant theory and whatever strategies already the people have followed, whether it will be useful for our study or do we have to follow some other strategy. We have to study that also. And many statistical tools are available for studying the research problems. So what we have to do is, so what are the tools which will be helpful for our study, we have to find out, and what are the instruments we can use for collecting the data for our research. Everything, all the information or all these knowledges can be acquired from the existing review of literature. So from this we can come to a conclusion that whenever any person or any researcher is going to do any research, this review of literature plays a vital role. Without this review of literature, the study or any research cannot be a good one. So, more than anything else in a study, this review of literature plays a vital role and it helps to understand the different ways of conducting the research study. So, what are the ways in which our research study can be proceeded with? So, we can understand, so, and we can form a step by step procedure. Everything can be done only by seeing to the already reviews available in the academia. Then it helps to identify comparative data. So helps in interpretation and discussion of previous study. So already many people have studied about the research question which is in our mind. we have to do a comparative data. We have to identify the comparative data, which will help us to make an interpretation in our research question, and we have to have a discussion on the previous study. Only when we discuss about the previous study, we can come to know about the lagness in the study. So it is always needed. So we have seen what are the factors which are contributing to the collection of review of literature. Now we have come to the next part, types of review of literature. So there are so many types are available in the review of literature, and the first one is narrative review. What is a narrative review? We all know that what is narration. When we come across some question or some term or some problem, we will first understand it, and we will narrate it, or we will present it in our own way, in our own words. That is called as narrative review. So this narrative review is always necessary. A traditional overview of a topic's significant literature, which usually includes a critical analysis of each work. So, what is a narrative review? It is a traditional overview. So, whenever we present any literature review, it will be presented in a narrative view. We cannot just simply, whenever we see whenever we collect any review of literature, we cannot simply do cut, copy, paste. It will not help in any way in our research, and it will not be when we simply do cut, copy, paste. It will not be referred in the future also. In our future generations which are going to come, they will not use it for a model. So when we want to uh, set a goal, what we have to do is we have to present a review of literature in a narrative way. So a traditional overview of a topic significant literature, which usually includes a critical analysis of each work. So we have to critically analyze what they have done in so many chapters, because already existing review of literature, when we take each and every literature review, it will have so many chapters, say some 5 6 chapters, or so many chapters, and so many things have been presented in those chapters. What we have to do is we have to make a critical analysis of all the chapters, sort it. We have to pick up only the points which are needed for our study, arrange it, and logically present in our own narrative way. That is called as narrative review. This is one of the types of presenting a review of literature. Then next one is systematic review. So it is not only essential, or it is not only enough if we do a critical assessment, and also what we have to do is a critical assessment of all research studies on a specific topic, which uses specific criteria to collect and evaluate the literature. So what we have to do is we have to do a systematic, we have to form a procedure, or we have to form a step, what is to be done whenever we collect our research studies on a specific topic. We have to use some criteria, or we have to first sort down the factors, various factors, which direct factors and indirect factors, which contributes to our study. So we have to uh, do our critical assessment based on these specific criteria to collect and evaluate the literature. Then next, annotated bibliography. What is annotated bibliography? First, what is a bibliography? The bibliography is a thing, or is a chapter which has been used in all the research publications. So in this part of bibliography, whatever the references a researcher has done will be sorted in some form using some logic. So, annotated bibliography is a list of citations for research sources on a topic, which includes a brief summary and analysis of each citation. So, what is a citation? Citation is whenever we are collecting data or reviews of literature from so many studies for our analysis, or finding out the gap, or finding out our factors which are needed for our study. It is not necessary that we have to use all the reviews of literature in our study. Only some of the literatures which are very much essential or which directly supports our research problem will be taken and will be kept or included in our study. So the citations or the things or research the points or already existing research which we use or which we take and present in our research is called as a citation. So, what is annotated bibliography is, it is a list of citations. So, because we will not take a source or point only from one source, we will use so many citations in our research. A list of citations for research sources on a topic which includes a brief summary and analysis of each citation. So, we have to summarize it. Simply, we will not keep it in as a single point. What we have to do is we have to summarize it, and each citation we will analyze and present it. Then next one is integrative review, a review that synthesizes literature to generate new knowledge on a topic. So when we talk about synthesize, we collect various information and present it in some form. In the case of integrated review, we will collect reviews or existing knowledge from so many sources, and we will club it to make it look like a new thing. That is called as synthesize. So we synthesize literature to generate a new knowledge on the topic. Then, next one is meta narrative review. What is a meta narrative review? A qualitative review that uses literature to compare different research or practice communities. When we come to meta narrative review, this is basically used in the case of science researchers. What the science researchers, what they will do is, the researcher will do some practical also, some laboratory experiments or like that. So in the case of meta narrative review, the science researcher, what he will do or is, he will do a qualitative research. In that case, in the qualitative research, he will use the literature to compare. He will compare the research as well as the practical part which is he has already done, and the practical part which the existing researcher has already done. He will do a meta narrative review. He will give a meta narrative review, which is basically not used for arts or uh, humanities side. This is always used in the case of, mostly used in the case of science studies. The next one is critical review. So, what is a critical review? Name itself says that we will critically think or we will critically analyze each and every part of it. So, a review that proposes new ways of thinking about a concept. This is called as critical review, because whenever we take any topic, there are so many viewpoints to bring it. So it is not that we have to think it only in a particular point of view. So there are a point, or a research question can be analyzed from various points of view or from the point of view of various people. Say, for example, we can analyze a question from the point of view of a normal student, or from the point of view of a parent, or from the point of view of a teacher or a faculty, or from the point of view of a common people, or from the point of view of corporates, or from the point of government. So this question is the same, the research gap is the same, but what we are going to do, we are going to analyze our study in whose point of view. That plays a vital role. So that is called as critical review. So a critical review is a review that analyzes the concept in some new point or some new concept. That is called as critical review. Then meta analysis and meta regression. So already we seen that Meta-analysis is used to collect review of literature in the case of science studies. In this case of meta-analysis and meta-regression, this review, it is a review that integrates quantitative studies and identifies moderators. What is this actually? So already it is used in the case of experimental learning. So in the case of experimental learning, what they will use is the regression. They will use regression because correlation, regression, so many statistical tools are available for analyzing a research topic. Here they will use regression to make analysis and integrates it, the quantitative as well as identify the moderators to present a review of literature. Next one is mixed research thesis. This is a thesis, a review that combines other review approaches in the same paper. Because when we say synthesize, already I told that it is a collection or it is a mixing of so many concepts. So this mixed research synthesize, what it tells is it is a review that combines other review approaches. So in the same paper itself, uh, we can have a pool of so many reviews which comes from so many sources. So mixed research synthesis, we can use it as a one of the technique for literature review. Next one is realist review. What is realist review? It is a theory driven interpretive review that can inform policy decision making. Says this realist review says that uh, we will interpret so many things. It is a theory driven. What is our interpretation? We find out a research gap, we frame a research question, and we collect reviews from so many available sources. And when we are presenting the sources review of existing review of literature, we have to do one interpretation. So we have to analyze and we have to interpret it in our own form, and that interpretation can be used for even for policy decision making also. Because in the case of government, they can use our interpretation for their decision making also, government, or in the case of companies it can be used for policy decision making. Next, our next main part, what are the sources of review of literature? Literature reviews may be classified as primary source or secondary source or tertiary source. We will see each one of them in detail. What is a primary source? A primary source is a primary source is a literature resource of a study written by the original researcher. It is a research publication written by the person or people who conducted the research. So, primary source is, it is not the literature which is being collected from or which is being taken from citation of so many people. It is our original collection. That is called as a primary source. So it is a literature resource which is written by the original researcher. So it is written by the person who does the research or people who conduct the research. So this is the main kind of primary source, plays a main type of source in the case of collection of review of literature. Example, research articles, unpublished thesis, dissertation, personal diary, handwritten records and reports, etc. Even this personal diary plays. We all know about research articles, unpublished thesis, dissertation, everything else is available. Even the personal diary of a person also helps us to collect a review of literature. Then next one is secondary source. So these are the second hand information. So the primaries, the previous one, primary source or the first hand information collected by the researcher. This secondary source or the secondary information These are the second-hand information prepared or written by someone other than the original author. Examples: newspapers, book chapters, television, radio, magazines, Wikipedia, journals, etc. So, all these things will help us to collect our review of literature from the pool of available secondary source. The third one is tertiary source. These are the excellent sources that can provide general background information to help narrow or broaden the focus of a topic. So, this tertiary source gives us the review of literature from primary as well as secondary sources. So, this is an excellent source that provides us a very good background. Now, we will see in detail all these sources. First one is primary source. What is primary source? A literature review mostly relies on the primary source. When we take our review of literature, we will collect our data from so many sources. When we collect data from the primary source, that is research report. What is a research report? These are the description of studies written by the researchers who conducted them. So this is one of the most important primary source. So research report. So this is a general description. So literature reviews mostly relies on the primary sources, because only when we use primary source only it will contribute to the pool of knowledge. When we always keep on using the secondary knowledge, it may not contribute. So only when we use primary source, it will contribute to the knowledge. So it is a direct description of the studies written by the researchers. A primary source is written by a person who developed a theory and conducted the research, or it is a description of an existing knowledge. So he collects, a person or researcher collects a data from, collects the reviews from so many sources, and based on that he has developed a theory. Based on his research, he has developed a theory, and it describes exactly what he has done. It describes his personal experience. So that personal experience, we are directly using it in our study. That in that case, it is called as a primary source. Then secondary source. Secondary source research documents or description of studies prepared by someone other than the original researcher. So always we will not directly depend only on the primary source. We will take secondary sources also, because both primary and secondary sources are complementary to each other, and it contributes to our research study. Secondary source research documents are description of studies prepared by someone other than the original researcher. So already we are referring some sort of knowledge or some studies or some thesis. In that thesis, what the researcher has found out and he has presented is his primary source, and what he has taken from some other source is called as, when we use the studies which are prepared, which the material which are prepared by somebody else, it is called as secondary source. They are written by people other than the individuals who developed a theory or a concept. It can also be used. Then the secondary sources may be used when primary sources are not available, or if the researchers want external opinions on an issue or problem, or even the results of their own research. Whenever we prepare any data, or whenever we collect any data for our research interpretation or data analysis part, we can use the primary source. And if, when we are taking a very fresh topic, or in our question is a very novel one, existing review of literature may not be available. In that case, we will use primary source. But when we cannot use the primary source, and we cannot get fresh information, we can use the existing external opinion, existing secondary source of information, and it can be used for even for analysis and interpretation or getting a result for our research. Then, what are the resources of literature review? There are so many resources that are available for literature review. The thing is electronic database. So we all know we are in the AI world, and electronic database contributes major. It plays a vital role in each and everyone's research. And books, of course, whatever be AI or whatever be uh, the artificial intelligence plays a vital role. The books cannot be replaced by any artificial intelligence. Always books plays a vital role. Then journals, because in the journals so many people present their papers in the journals. So it contributes to a major source of review of literature. Then conference papers, mainly conferences are happening in so many parts of the world, and many people, academicians as well as corporates, present their papers in the conferences, and from the pool of those papers we can take our review of literature. Then thesis. So already many PG thesis, MPhil and PhD thesis are available. And when we take PhD thesis in the Indian perspective, Shodh Ganga plays a vital role. In the Shodh Ganga, if we refer Shodh Ganga, all the existing theses in India are available in Shodh Ganga. So, whenever any new person comes into the field of research, if he refers Shodh Ganga, he will get a good idea of the thesis, what is already available in the topic related to his research question in mind. Then, encyclopedias and dictionary. Always, the encyclopedia plays a vital role in the academia, and dictionary also plays a vital role. Whenever we come across any new term, we can always refer a dictionary for finding out the meaning. Then research reports. Many research reports are being published throughout the world in all the field of research. It plays a vital role in the case of review of literature. The next one is magazines and newspapers. So no, so many news items are being published in their day-to-day magazines and newspapers. It plays a vital role for the review of literature. Then first we will see about electronic sources. How electronic sources contribute to our collection of review of literature. Always computer assisted literature search has revolutionized the review of literature. These searches, however, for a variety of reasons, may not provide the desired references. Electronic literature search through web may be very useful, but sometimes it can be time consuming and unpredictable because there are many websites and web pages that can lead to information overload and confusion. When we refer websites, when we refer 2 3 websites, the results may be contradictory to each other. So always we have to take our reviews of literature from the verified websites only. Just like that, we cannot take any information from some random websites. Always we have to check whether the website is a verified one, whether it is a recommendable one, and depending on the quality of the website, the information may vary. If we have to get a correct information, we have to take the information from the verified websites, in which case the information collected which we collect may not mislead us. General literature search can be conducted through search engines like Yahoo, because Yahoo search engine plays a vital role whenever we want to collect any data of data. Then also Google, it cannot be replaced. So always www.google.com, and MSN is also a search engine. Lycos, Webcrawler, Alta Vista, or Excite. All these are the various search engines or web pages or websites available for our research study. ERIC, it is also another database. This ERIC, ERIC database is the largest source of information, a free search which may be carried out at http://www.eric.ed.gov. So it is a important database which gives us so many information. Then next comes the after electronic source, which comes is the printed source. Always printed source plays a vital role in the case of any type of research. Printed research summary may be located from published abstracts such as marketing research abstract, psychological abstract, dissertation abstract. So many printed sources are always available. We have to go to in nowadays those printed sources are available online also, but if we have to get a good printed source, we can go to visit many libraries across the world or across India to get the review of literature from the printed source. Then other printed source are the research reports. Always research reports plays a vital role in the review of literature. Then unpublished dissertations and thesis. So unpublished, some people do so many researches and they leave it unpublished. Those things will be available in the libraries, and we can get our review of literature, relevant supported theory from those unpublished dissertations also, which will be available in the printed form, and also from magazines and newspapers, which gives a lot of news item happening in the current to support our research question. Then conference papers and proceedings. Most of the conference papers which are being presented in the conferences or published in the forms of proceedings. So in which case it can be used. So research reports plays a vital role. Conference papers and the proceedings plays a vital role in the case of review of literature. Most of the conferences, they compile their conference papers in the form of proceedings, which help us. Then encyclopedias and dictionaries and books, which are related to the topic of our research question. Then, what are the contents of the review? So, always our review of literature should be given in this format. First, we have to give an introduction for our review of literature, and then we have to present all the review of literature in a proper logical order. That is called as the body of review of literature, and then from the sorted body of literature, we will come to a conclusion, and we have to give a conclusion for our review. So, writing the introduction. So, whenever we are giving a review of literature, how we will write the introduction? While writing the introduction, the following steps should be taken care of. First, define or identify the general topic, because we have already collected, we have seen so many sources, we have seen the importance, everything we have seen. So, whatever data we collect, it has to be presented in a proper format, neat and logical format, which should be understandable by everyone. So, if it is not in an understandable manner, whatever research we present, it may not be of any use to anyone. So, the most important part of the literature review is the presentation. How we are going to present it in our thesis or research report. So, first one, we have to write the introduction. While writing the introduction, the following steps should be taken care of. First, we have to define and identify the general topic. So, because only when we identify the general topic, we can go to collect the reviews of literature. So, what is the issue or what is the area of concern? Thus, providing appropriate context for reviewing the literature. So, that thing, definition should be the first part. whatever be the our general topic or issue, whatever be the concern, whatever be the problem, first we have to define it in a way which should be understandable by everyone. Then we have to point out overall trends in what has been published about the topic, or conflicts in their theory, methodology, evidence, and conclusion, or gaps in research and scholarship, or a single problem or a new perspective of immediate interest. So we have to point out in all these things. We have to make a point out of all these items based on the theory. So we have to say when we are writing a body, we have to say what are the conflicts in the theory, what is the methodology which has been followed, because so many methodologies are available for the research question or research thesis. So what is the evidence, from where we have taken the evidence, and what are the conclusions or gaps in the research. The next point is establish the writer's point of view for the research question, because we have to write our point of view. When we are doing a research, we have to establish or justify our point of view while giving or presenting a review of literature. Then, writing the body. The following measures need to be undertaken while writing the body of literature. Group research studies and other types of literature according to common denominators such as qualitative versus quantitative approaches, conclusions of authors, specific purposes or objectives, chronology, and so on. So, group research studies and other types of literature always plays a vital role, and it is to be done. It is to be arranged in a proper way while writing a body of our research. So, how will you present? We will present it in some common denominators, such as qualitative. So, we will present the qualitative information and also quantitative information. So, the qualitative information, as we all know, will give the nature of information or quality of the information, and the quantitative information gives the information in the form of some tables, numbers, charts, etc. And conclusions of authors should be given, and the specific purposes of objects. So when we take each and every review of literature, so we would have collected some 100 to 150 to 200 reviews. Each and every review has to be presented in these approaches. So what is the question they have in mind, what is the question or gap for which they have studied, what is the methodology they have followed, the that is what is the qualitative versus quantitative methodologies they have used, what are the statistical tools they have used in the study, and what are the objectives or what is the hypothesis they have framed, and everything should be given chronologically and so on. Then summarize individual studies and articles with as much as or as little detail as each merits according to its comparative importance in the literature, remembering that areas denote significance. So, for each and every study, some area will be of significant or importance that is to be mentioned while we are uh, presenting a body of a review of literature. We have to note down all these important or significant points, and it has to be summarized for the future generations to understand. Then, next part is writing the conclusion. How will we write the conclusion? Because the conclusion always plays a vital role. We have to conclude it in a legible or understandable manner. So, what are the points to be taken care of while writing the conclusion? Summarize the major contributions of significant studies and articles to the body of knowledge under review, maintaining the focus established in the introduction. So, already we have given an introduction, we have given a body of review of literature, we have to summarize it, and we have to say what are the major contributors that has been used which will support to our study. because we have presented our review of literature only to support our study. So we have to give it in that way. What are the contributors, or what are the points which have contributed to our study from the existing literature? And also we have to uh, do a interlink or connection with the introduction and body. Then evaluate the current state of the art for the body of knowledge review, pointing out major methodological flaws or gaps in the research, inconsistencies in the theory, and finding areas or issues which are pertinent to our study. So, is to evaluate the current state of art or body of knowledge is always important. We have collected data from so many sources, and some state of art of knowledge is already existing. We have to evaluate it while writing a conclusion. And also we have to point out what are the flaws which are existing in the existing review of literature, and we have to say that we have covered those flaws or gaps, and our study is being done to bridge the gaps which has been already existing in the reviews of literature. What are the points to be considered while writing a review of literature? Be specific and be succinct. Briefly state specific findings listed in an article, specific methodologies used in a study, or other important points. Literature reviews are not the place for long quotes or in depth analysis of each point. So, naturally, we have to be specific because review of literature is a body of knowledge which has been already given by somebody. So we need not elaborate it again. If we have to see the elaborative, we have to take those theses or that research and we can refer it. So in our research, what we have to do is our review of literature to be, is it is to be specific. So specific findings ought to be listed, and only the major points which directly contributes to our study has to be mentioned in the review of literature. We need not to write a or give a in-depth analysis. Next one is be selective. So researchers should narrow down a lot of information into a small space for a literature review. We need not elaborate it, already we have seen in the previous point. So we have to be selective. So we should know what are the points to be given in our review of literature and what to leave. So that uh, selection of proper words is, or proper point key points is very very important for the presentation of a review of literature. Just the most of the points, those most relevant to the review's focus, must be mentioned in each and every review of literature. Then, focus on the current topics. So, researcher needs to analyze points such as if it is a current article, and if not, how old it is. That is to be given, because chronological order is to be given. Always we have to focus on the latest study rather than the older study. So we have to analyze all the studies. We have to collect reviews even from the olden days or many previous years also. But our focus should be on the nearest years, nearest previous years, and the researcher has to have its claims, evidence, or arguments been superseded by more recent work. So always we have to concentrate on the recent research work. If it is not current, then if it is important for historical background, if it is a very older one, we can give it to justify the historical background which is needed for our study. Otherwise, we have to concentrate only on the recent research work. The next one is ensure evidences for claims. Researchers should focus on what support is given for claims made in the literature, what evidence and what type of whether it may be experimental, statistical, or anecdotal, etc., of evidences are offered. Is the evidence relevant or insufficient? What can be done? So we have to ensure the evidences for claims. We cannot simply claim anything from the review of literature. We have to keep the proper evidence which supports our claims. Always supporting the evidence for our claim is very very important. Then focus on the sources of evidences. Researchers should ensure the reliability of the sources of the evidence or other information. If they are from authors' own experiments, surveys, historical records, government documents, etc., you should check how reliable those sources are. That is very important. As I already told, verification of whether it is a website, we have to verify the reliability of the website. Whether it is we have taken our reviews from any experiments or surveys or historical records, the we have to first verify it whether it can be it is a trusted one, because we have to present only the trusted information in our review of literature. So first we have to check the reliability of the sources that we have taken. Then account of the contrary evidences. Does the author take into account contrary or conflicting evidence and arguments? How does the author address disagreements with other researchers? That is also to be given. Always contrary evidences are also to be given in the study. Then reference citation. Any references cited in the literature review must be included in the bibliography. All the references should be compulsorily included in the bibliography. The common practice is that the reviewer does not list references in the bibliography that are not directly cited in the literature review or elsewhere in the paper. So, only what we have given in our thesis, the relevance citation should be given in the bibliography. Avoid, always we should avoid abbreviations. Whatever terms we use in our thesis or review of literature, it should be an elaborate one. If we have happen to use abbreviation anywhere, we have to give the elaboration uh, in our thesis. And always avoid technical terms, jargons and abbreviations. All the terms which we use in our study should be a understandable one, and it should not be a abbreviation. And always we should use a simple and accurate sentence structure. Our sentence should be understandable by everyone. It should not be a complex one. It should not use very technical, very complex technical jargons. It should be a simple word which should be understandable by everyone. Then organization of literature review, how we have to organize it. We have to give us some major heading, and before that some subheadings. The subheading may be either the factors which contribute to our study, which is called a subtopic, not by individual references. In a typical literature review, the writers may cite several references in the same paragraph, or may cite the same reference in more than one paragraph if the source address more than one of the subtopics in the literature review. So it may be any type. So whatever our thesis recommends or it needs, it should be organized in that way. Typically, discussion of each sources is quite brief. The contribution uh, the contribution of the present reviewers is always important. Then, referring original source. The reviewer should focus on citing the material that originates with each reference. So he has to cite everything. So here the researcher has to focus on the citation. So how we can give the citation? If we have to give a citation, we have to give a careful reading of a reference. Only then we can give a correct citation. If the reference author refers to another source which are relevant and interesting, it should be mentioned. Then the last part, the conclusion of my presentation. To conclude, a literature review is an account of previous efforts and achievements of researchers or a phenomenon. It helps to compare with other previous studies, and a good review of literature should be a precise one, and it should be understandable by everyone. Thank you.
Yes, I have concluded my part.
Any questions?
Uh, so far, no questions, ma'am, as of now.
Okay.
It's clearly and well understood, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, Lekha Shri, Pratiksha, ma'am. Pratiksha, ma'am.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, 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 ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, Miss Pratiksha will propose vote of thanks now.
Good evening to one and all present here. As we mark the end of today's session, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. V. Andal Ma'am, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, Vistas Pallavaram. Your presence in this enlightening occasion and your perception was truly valuable. I extend my cordial gratitude to our program coordinator, Dr. B. Deepa Ma'am, for instigating this conclave. I thank our HOD, Dr. Chitra Srinivasan Ma'am, VP Admin Sir and Academic Sir, and our Dean Sir for their support in organizing this intriguing 3 weeks research methodology course. And finally, I thank all faculties for with their involvement. This session is a grand success. Once again, I thank you all for your presence and dedication today. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pratiksha. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, can you unmute, ma'am?
Sorry. Yes.
Ah,
I thank you so much for the opportunity given to me to participate in the 3 weeks research methodology course. Thank you. I look to work with you all in future also. Thank you.
sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll end this.